yeah, I feel like one of the most important things is just being zen, yeah, I love listening to binaural beats or something while I'm playing and just staying fully focused, fully level. And that to stay level, and that started in my cash game days was difficult for me. It took me years to master. And then once you master it, you're so much more profitable
How did you master
because
it?
you're making the right decisions.
It's awesome to
Yeah.
have you on here, man. Like you've been around in Australian poker for quite some time, and I feel like not a lot of people know you, but a lot of people know you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really funny because since online kind of got destroyed in Australia, like when online came on this, well, when I joined online, after finishing playing cash for a couple of years, so I think I started playing online about 2008, and then I wasn't very good, and I got some coaches, got some tournament coaches, and got early success. And then all of a sudden, 2010, I felt like a lot of people knew me, a lot of people saying hello and, well done and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't that good. I was, just an ABC kind of type player, but I was running good. And then through the whole journey, and then when online kind of got banned in Australia, and then it's this new generation now, and like I walk into the room and it's polar opposite. They're seeing, well, now it's just like you see the young players that are doing really well in live tournaments, like at the APL or WPT or at the casino tournaments. So they're like all the known players, and it's only the old school, the OGs that are like, they look at me and like, oh yeah, how's it going? So, but it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Well, even I feel like one of the OG. I'm like the one of the older guys. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not. I don't look like a silver fox like you yet, though. So I don't...
yeah. So this is a thing. This is a funny conversation because I've been grey for a long time, but I've just been like dyeing my hair and shaving. But if I grew a beard, like even 10 years ago, I think I started dyeing my hair when I was like 28 or something. So as I came into the poker scene, I was already dyeing my hair. And yeah, even like 10 years ago when I was, I'm 41 now. So when I was like 31, 32, if I decided to grow a little bit of hair, I'd be the silver fox already.
Surely you could have picked up a few things from Shane Warne, man.
It was only like a year ago or so, and I decided to grow a bit of a beard. Actually, it's when I started trail running. When I left triathlon and started trail running, I'm like, I might grow a bit of a beard and stop dyeing my hair and be a bit healthier because I know the dye's not that good for you. It's pretty chemically. And I turned up to an APT, and the photographer took a picture of me and she uploaded it, and she come back about 2 hours later. She goes, "Oh my God, I did not recognize you."
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, it's like, and so many people were like, it was so funny. I just turned up and hardly anyone recognized me. And I was like, oh wow, I must look like 10 years older.
Yeah, I mean, like it's you have been in the industry for almost 15 years is
yeah.
So you are a bit of a dinosaur, so it does suit you.
Yeah, I started in 2000, and I started free poker in about 2006, and then I started buying books and studying in 2007. And at the end of that year, or during that year, is when I left my job and started playing full-time cash every day.
Right. So you've been full-time since then?
Yeah, well, I would say maybe 80, 90%. When my son was born, I took a year off and went and worked for Telstra at the business centre for a year. And I don't think I've had any other full-time jobs. I've started a couple of small businesses during that time. My partner and I, we started a vegan ice cream van. That was really cool. It was fun to run, but it was all weekend work, and we've both got kids, and it just became too much. So we sold that because she's got a full-time job as well, very busy. But yeah, predominantly it's been my primary income for that long. Yeah, so it's been good.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
It's I bet you've rode the swings, right? It's one of the things where one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on here was because I feel like there are a lot of those younger people who are up and coming in these APT, APL circuits, and I'm seeing them, I'm hearing stories, and I'm just like, man, these young guys, I wish they had the guidance like that, I had when I was I wish I had when I was younger in poker. And so like talking to people like you, and I had Michelle and Jackie on here in the earlier episodes, the wisdom, man, it can help just like avoid serious pain and suffering in this game, right?
Oh,
So what sort of thing like has really pulled you through 15 years? Like,
um, mate, it has been a tough journey. And one thing I remember is my lowest point. I was on a downswing for 4 months. I was playing on stars, playing 5 days a week, maybe sometimes 6. And I was on my A game for 4. Like generally, I'm on my A game. I won't play. I'll start up a session if I'm feeling like junk. But I was just getting it in good daily, and it was so tough that like to the end of that 3.5, 4 months where I log on and I know the most I can win today is 15 grand, and I know I'm down 45k because I was just playing mid stakes, which is still a big swing for that ABI of $50 or whatever I was playing. And it's just like, it's mind blowing. I can't win out today. I can only win out on a Monday. The games start early. You got to get up at 3 a.m. and then by 6, you're feeling, that sick feeling. You're not feeling best, not playing your best. Anyways, I just kept telling myself, stay in your A game. The opportunity will come. And I'll never forget, I final table bubbled the big 55 3 mornings in a row. And I got the first day was a flip. The second day was like aces v kings or something. And the next day was ace king v ace queen. And I'm not sort of an aggressive person. You hear people breaking their screens or going crazy. On the third day after 4 months, I grabbed my mountain bike and I tried to throw it through my apartment door.
that seems wise.
And that was the breaking point.
Literally.
And then, so I had a few days off, got back on the horse, and then the following week, I logged on, played the T-Coop was on, which I was really confident at. Turbos, I did really well through all those
That's
T-Coop
the
series.
Turbo Championship of online poker for those people who aren't Poker Stars days.
Yep, it's my favourite. I miss it. And I logged on, I played the 265 Turbo Knockout. And million guaranteed. Anyway, we ended up chopping it 3-handed for like 100. I got like 100k Australian, and that was the end of the downswing.
So what year was this?
Like you're saying, like...
What year was this?
That was in 2013.
Okay, yeah.
I think 2013, maybe 13 or 14. So, yeah. But like you're saying with wisdom is just like, first thing I'd say to someone is don't play tournaments for a living. Tournaments are high variance. You're going to win 30% of the time. Cash games, you're going to win 70% of the time, and it's a grind. But yeah, it's tough. And I've never been a good studier, and I was just lucky that I was a solid player from when I sort of got the beginning fundamentals, and that was good until all the training sites come up. And so next thing I'm in this, I haven't studied much, and I'm in this situation where I'm losing. And I went down to Sydney for Sydney Champs or something, and a good friend down there sort of gave me the tap on the shoulder and said, mate, you were good, but you need to do some study if you want to be winning. And the first thing he said is look at your BB per 100, and started saying, mate, start joining some study sites. And yeah, I went from a winning player to a losing player really quick. And it's one thing that worries me about the game is because you got access to so much information now. The average player is so much better. You go play a tournament, C-bets don't get through. Everyone floats, small things. Everyone flats 3-bets. The game, it's so much skill that the game's a sport. It evolves, it changes, and it's difficult. And like, I've studied more the past 12 months than I've ever done in my life, and I've been on a downswing. And I know I'm the best player I've been. And yeah, it's not easy. It hasn't been an easy road. Yeah.
But you're talking a lot about the fundamental side of things, right? Like you're saying that you had your downswing, and your friend really just like tried to pull you in, and it's like, man, you got to seriously work on your game. The game's getting tougher. The gold mine has almost been kind of like rushed out, or whatever, however you say it. And now it's like, if you want to actually make money at this game, you're gonna have to study. But like, did you change anything about your mindset or your approach to the game from a philosophical or psychological point of view?
Basically, Well, so good friend Matt, we had a really good chat, and he's like, if you're losing, you should be studying more than you're playing. Straight up, you should be putting in more hours on study than playing, and that's playing what I want to play. Like, obviously, I can go to the casino. So I've been a tournament player after I finished playing full-time cash, but I do have breaks, and I still do play a lot of live cash because it's the softest form. You know, you go to the casino and you generally can just print at most of the stakes. But yeah, so a mindset kind of thing is like, right, I need to set myself up a routine of, all right, I'm going to study so many hours a week. And I'm really going to look more at game selection as well. Because, for example, a lot of the newer structures are turbo. And so, I was like, all right, I've got to play lower variance games. I've got to play softer fields. And, when you're on a downswing or when you are losing, like small steps are so important. It builds momentum and gets your confidence back. And yeah, so I did change my mindset a bit, and I did stop playing so many tables and had more attention to detail, which I think G. Boro's always done, 6 tables max. Played less and changed a lot of things actually, because it was so easy back in the day. It really was. So
yeah, I think that like it's a difference in the type of personality though, right? Because for some people, and I'll use myself as an example here, I'm very happy to humiliate myself. I'm the sort of person to chase the big win. That's why I was never a cash game player. I'm not interested in cash game play. Like, it's too boring for me. I don't want to grind and then go on those little win lose. Sorry, like I want to be able to have like a life changing score in one result. And
I understand that.
So clearly you're not that type of person. If you were able to rein it in and have the discipline to play only 5 or 6 tables when you were probably playing, 15 tables at a time?
Yes. And like realistically, if I look back on the last, say, I feel like the game did start to get tough around 2014. It got tougher when a lot of the sites came out. I want the big win. So I'm competitive. I've played rugby league, running, triathlons.
And you run ultra marathons now. It's pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, I do marathons. I've done one ultra, but I started doing marathons and trail races. They're awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm after that win. And it's another thing Matt says is, mate, just play more cash and just randomly play tournaments. But I relate to you in, I want to get those scores.
Because it's a different feeling. Like when you walk into a tournament room, there's a buzz. There's a buzz in the room, and there's like an excitement about when you're on the table, you can hear chips ruffling everywhere, and then you get less tables, and the reality of winning a big score or being on the center stage is there. You don't get that when you go and just sit there at the casino playing on some random cash game until 4 a.m. Sorry.
That's right, and you're grinding an hourly. Yeah,
so
but how often
in my later. Well, let's say I'm in my early 30s now. I'm starting to get a bit wiser with this, with the realization that, if I did have my time again, I probably would have dedicated a lot more time to cash games because of the variance. You're right. The variance in tournament poker is huge. People don't realize how huge it is.
Yeah. For example, the Gold Coast Casino here have a $550 monthly. Excuse me. And last month, it's kind of been a bogey tournament for me. I keep getting in these flips or 60-40s with 2 tables left and losing since they started the tournament. Anyways, and it's a very soft field. There's probably about maybe 4 other really good regs. The field, it gets like 100 runners, like 15, 16K for first. Last month, I'm sitting there 1 of 9. And I'm like, all right, the variance is coming back in this tournament. And then I get in, I'm chip lead, and I get in with second in chips, ace king, and she doesn't know what she's doing that much, and she calls up with king queen suited, hits a queen, and then I run it back to chip lead, and I get it in with her again, and she's second in chips. She's third in chips now, and I get in with jacks v9s, and she turns a 9, and then I lose a flip with 10 BB, and I'm out, and it paid top 7. I just run 9th from 1 of 9. So it's tournaments are so
And you know how
brutal.
many times that's happened to any tournament player? Like it's
That's exactly right.
people,
Yeah.
and I find that when I work with people on their mindset with this, like you have to realize that can happen, and it can happen so often. Like even if you're a chip leader with 5 to go, you could come 5th so easily. Like there's so much variance. I was just talking to Will on episode 3 of this about it when he just won that WPT in the Gold Coast, and man, he was like, yeah, I know how much variance there is. So like when we're 3-handed with him, Alex, and Mike, it was like, man, at any point he could have just gone from being the shortest stack to just chip leader, which it ended up happening. And so you have to just never be too excited when you have a lot of chips, but also never give up when you have the short stack as well, right? You always just have to just keep yourself steady.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I learned early on, especially online, well, from online tournaments, is you can be on the bubble with one big, and then you can close out that 200 turbo for 15K. Like, you know how quickly you can run a stack up. But also, it happens in reverse, and I think people don't think, well, average player is educated, but they're not educated in ICM, and that's another thing that I've always thought I've been good at. But then in later years, it's like, do I want to take this high variance spot where I feel like I'm in the top 2 players left and I can outplay them rather than taking this high variance spot and going for a win? So I feel like it's definitely a fine line, but yeah, the swings are, they're next level.
But that fine line you're describing, that's why we love the game.
I know. Honestly, for me, there's nothing better than sitting a live tournament, having a massive stack and pushing people around and double barreling their stacks and 3-betting their 20 VB stack or whatever. And just things are going good, just sitting there, you got a pile. And it's just, that's the thrill that I love about tournament poker, especially live.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
yeah.
it's making me feel like I've been watching the WSOP, and Sean hasn't been on there yet, our last Aussie standing, but he's basically in the final 60 as we're recording. He's in the final 60, and he's just running up a stack.
Ragaz?
Ragazzoni.
Yeah,
Man,
Ragazzini, yeah.
I would have picked up, him and Hassan were still in it, with about 100 to go, and man, I would have picked Sean if I knew he was still in it. I didn't see that he was still in it, but I would have picked him hundreds out, man. That guy's a beast. I played with him in the Goliath down in Campbelltown, and I think he's a cash game player, but he's just on the table. He's just got a presence about him that's just, it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but I really, all my money's on him to win this thing or get to the final table at least.
Oh, that would be amazing for poker in Australia. I've only played him once, and that was at this 2.5K APL maybe 6 months ago. And he didn't have that many chips, so he was pretty cornered. And he plays obviously pretty high online, so I don't see him that much online. So, but I can imagine when he's got a stack, he would be amazing with it. But when we were deep in that 2.5K, he did make 2 really good folds, and he should have. And like a lot of the players in the room would have been tilted where he had to fold ace queen again pre-flop. And discipline's just so important about looking the whole situation, and I could just see he's got it. So
I think it's his presence.
I think he busted out, but yeah, mate, stats don't lie. He's definitely got it.
Yeah, I just think, I looked at his results. He had back in, I think it was May and June, he had like 2 massive wins within 2 or 3 days of each other. He won 2 massive tournaments. One was for like 100 something thousand, and the other one was for like 60. This was earlier this year, but I didn't know of him until I'd seen him around, but didn't know of him until Goliath down in Campbelltown. But there's something about
super nice guy.
Yeah,
too.
He's great. Like I really enjoyed chatting with him and stuff. I was on his right, which wasn't fun being on his right, but. Day one. But yeah, I think that he has a presence about him that I think we could all actually learn something from, because he tends to just keep himself pretty cool, pretty calm and collected. He engages with people, but also sometimes he just keeps to himself. There's something about him that just is so cool. And I think when you adopt that sort of mentality in poker, then you don't let your emotions overtake you. You're just like, I'm just going to try and do the best thing I can with every single hand that I'm in. And the rest is, up to the poker gods. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because, and I openly admit this, like when I first, got popular or whatever and got early success, I was a dick. And that's one thing I feel like I've learned and grown as a person through the sport is like I couldn't handle, I'm so competitive, I couldn't handle losing. So how many times did I bust out in Sydney or Melbourne or wherever and just get the shits and storm off? And, I was never swearing at people, but I was probably arrogant and cocky at the table. And I look at the sort of person I was, and I wasn't that nice a person because I was so competitive. And yeah, I feel like one of the most important things is just being zen, I love listening to binaural beats or something while I'm playing and just staying fully focused, fully level. And that to stay level, and that started in my cash game days was difficult for me. It took me years to master. And then once you master it, you're so much more profitable.
How did you master it?
Because you're making the right decisions.
How did you master it?
Huh?
How did you master it? I want to know your secrets.
I don't know. Well, one of my mates sat me down and said, we had a long chat. Paul, my mate Paul Gibson, you've probably met him a couple of times, big guy. And he's always been like the king of just not going on tilt. He's predominantly played cash. And he's like, bro, you're burning money. You're going on tilt. You look at the sort of person you are at the table. He's like, just stay. He's like, great. They got it in bad. And it amazes me that like Phil Hellmuth, after all the millions he's won, he's never had anyone control his emotions or he's never got on top of him. Like he's going to burn the place down in the World Series and then the next day he wins a bracelet and then 2 days later he wins another bracelet. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, but he does it because he loves the life.
Oh, and we love watching.
Yeah. He's like, do you follow boxing at all? Do you follow boxing at all?
A little bit,
Do you know who Tyson Fury is?
Yes.
Man, you should go and watch some YouTube stuff on him. He's an antagonizer. He's great. He's great for the game, but he's got a good heart. But I think that with Phil Hellmuth, I mean, he does have it under control because he's probably just got piles of endorsements behind him that he doesn't really care about the swings. He just does it for attention and the camera.
Yeah, and keeps the camera on him and keeps the endorsements.
Yeah, but coming back to you, man, it sounds like when you had really good friends that were able to support you through those difficult times, and that was what really helped you keep your head in check.
Yeah, and it's I've been very lucky and very blessed that I've had a good friend base, and I've always been surround yourself with good people. You reap the rewards of the seeds that you sow. You surround yourself with shit people, you're gonna be a shit person. So I've been very lucky in that retrospect. And yeah, obviously in one of my most painful points was in 2013 when I was playing and I quit the game because I had my son, a screaming baby at home, and I was playing under a backer, and I've never really spoken about this besides anyone that asked me about it. And I left I had 10K makeup, and then next thing there's this massive thread about me on 2+2. And it was the lowest point of my career, and it really hurt, and I was in tears, and yeah, even now it's just like, I feel the pain that I went through. Like I felt like if you were in makeup and you had a baby at home, or you've always got to put yourself and family first. And so it sort of got blown out of proportion. I was never not talking to my backer, and then we come up with a payment plan, and it was all good. And it was just because a couple of people didn't like me in Melbourne. They created this thread. And yeah, that was a tough time. But my close network of friends, the boys in Melbourne, our original crew, and my mates up here, they're like, it's all good. They're like, people don't think about you as much as you think. So
they got their own shit to worry about. It was
kind of like the lighter community that weren't close to me. There was people that just didn't want to talk to me after that, or didn't trust me, or so. Yeah, but I always felt like I tried to help hold myself in high regards and be respectful of everyone around, and just be a good person, and give the sport a really good name, and show that, because people who are uneducated think it's sort of just gambling, but it definitely is, to me, in my eyes, it's a sport because of the amount of skill that's in it and how it evolves and changes every year. What was good last year might be different this year, and yeah. So, but yeah, that was a tough time.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what?
So
We can all own up to having some sort of story like that in the poker world. If you're like heavily in the
yeah,
poker world, everyone's got a story. I mean, I've had my stories as well of things going wrong, and
yeah,
it's tricky. It's tricky, and when you have money floating around and there's so much variance and there's very little record or agreements getting made, it does get a bit messy. So we
yeah.
have all had that, but I love that you've learnt from that, so that you're able to,
Mm.
give the game the respect that it deserves, but also know that where your priorities lie, because you have to go through turmoil like that to know where your priorities lie in life. It's a test, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like nearly everyone I know, so there's a couple of things. Nearly everyone I know have got some things that maybe they made, this professionals have made the wrong decisions. And also, it feels like everyone I know that is pro blows their first 100K. Their first big win, they blow it. And that's one piece of advice I give to any young player who's just turned pro is you need to manage your money, and bankroll management is, which I'm terrible, I'm better now, but I was, mate, Jordan Westmoreland used to call me splurge master because I'd have a win. Next thing, I'd be out shouting everyone dinner and, buying new clothes and doing this and doing that. And bankroll management is so important. But Jason Kuhn is one person that I think you'll never find dirt on, and I think he's the best role model for the game at the moment. I love him so much.
Yeah.
And he's so humble. Like, you can tweet him. I'm an unknown to him, and he'll reply on Twitter. And yeah, I think he's a great person for the industry. I'm really happy that he signed with GG, and yeah, he's on their security team. So yeah.
Yeah. What other things is he doing that you like?
So he always keeps healthy. He's always into the gym, health and fitness, and he's doing a challenge at the moment where he was obviously, I didn't know this, he was obviously a sprinter when he was younger, and he's got a prop bet going at the moment that he can get back to running. I'm not sure if it's a sub 11 or some kind of really quick time over 100. He's got a year to train for it. And actually, when I thought there was a possibility that we could go to World Series, I tweeted him, and even endurance runners, they do Track Tuesday every week. They still do one session of speed. And so I said to him, when I come over to World Series, let's do some track sessions and let's go for some runs. And he's like, yeah, totally. But yeah, he just seems like an all-round good person. When that little schmozzle came out where a player was getting ripped off on an app, and he was offered to be one of the other players who was unknown on the table to take this guy's money. I think it was Bill Perkins played some players, and they were pros he didn't know. Jason straight up said no. His loyalty and his honesty is just amazing. So yeah, I really like the guy. He's a great role model, and that's why I like to, I just want to promote the game. I work with WPT here. I promote them. I'm an ambassador for Mitch's WPT on the Gold Coast. I also work a little bit with APL promoting them, and I want to see the game grow, and I want the game to have a good light, and the average person who doesn't know much about poker to look at poker as an awesome sport. And have a positive outlook, and the players to do good things in the community like other sportsmen do. So keep calling it a sport.
It is a sport, man. Like you and I know, man. This is a performance sport, whether you like it or not. Like if you think it's only a strategy game, like why the hell does your heart rate go to 150 beats per minute when you're almost all in on the bubble of a 10K or something? Like it's a sport. So
yeah, I want to wear, and I suggested this to PokerGo to have a high stakes cash game and put a heart rate monitor or a watch, because your heart rate's on your watches now, through 3 hours of a cash game, because when you're running bluffs, man, their heart rates would just be banging out, and it'd be so cool to see. Like imagine like that. I'll never forget. What's his name with the bald head? Steve. He's like, the commentator's like, holy shit, like 3 hours in the tank, 3 minutes in the tank with 9 height, and he's running this bluff, and I'm like, man, a heart rate monitor on him right now would be so sick to see, like 180, 185, 190 as the time goes on, it's going up.
It will be. I'm sure they've done it before. I just can't recall when they've done it, but I've definitely seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I turned mine on one day through a tournament on my Garmin, and uploaded and checked it out. It was pretty cool. And then I worked out that when I get a big hand, my heart rate goes up as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed as well. Like, because even if you get pocket aces, it's like your body's,
You get excited.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I think in terms of the way I work with helping people manage their anxieties in poker. It's that we reframe it, because you could actually feel excitement or anxiety and fear, and they're basically the same emotion, like physiological response. So how the hell does your
Yeah.
body actually doesn't really know the difference? It's only your mind that knows the difference. So you can like
Yeah, that's
retrain your
right.
mind. But yeah, you get pocket aces, but you know you're going to be in a big pot, but you also know you're not going to win all the time with it. So
Yeah.
that's why you start freaking out. Like your body's like, what the hell?
Yeah. And like, I feel like you, I can relate you to say, Liam O'Rourke's, Rourke's. I feel like you two, I couldn't, like, I feel like because I came from a cash game background, like Tom Grigg, we were like the hybrid. So we came from cash game backgrounds, we came to online. So when we would go to these live tournaments, we had really good reads. It was always hard to read you, and it was always hard to read Rourke's, because you guys are so zen and so center. And like, for me, it's like, now I'm a bit more relaxed, but like, you know, I'd be running 3-barrel bluff on the third level of an ANZ PT, and I swear I'd just be sitting there, I'd be locked up shop, my heart rate would be flying on my neck. But yeah, experience and sort of trying to look at the moment as it's just a bluff, it's just poker, just relax. But you're like, I can't breathe. But yeah, I've always found you really hard to read. You've always been so centered, and that's a really compliment to your game. I remember the first time I actually saw you was in Melbourne, and we were bagging for day one in Melbourne Champs or something, and someone said, "Oh, that's Brendan. He's a crusher, and he's won this and this." And then I saw this other guy flat your 3 or 4 bet, and the flop come out Jack something, and you just had kings, and you just didn't have much. You had like maybe you 3-bet half your stack or whatever, or 4-bet half your stack. So you just put the rest in, and he just called, and he just calls off, and he's got ace jack, and you had like kings, and you're like, oh well.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I saw you. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't remember the hand. Unlike you, seem to have quite a photographic memory, but I don't remember that hand.
I was surprised I remember that hand. I remember you copped it.
Yeah, I think for me, because I've played so much poker, because I've seriously played millions and millions of hands, and I know that there's always going to be another game around the corner. You know, I'm not immune from those bodily responses and those challenges. There's no guarantee to that, but I think because I know that there's so many games endlessly, like the game has never gone anywhere. I've been here playing for 13 years, and even when they ban online, everyone knows there's games going on everywhere. So it's like there's always going to be a game next week, next month, or next year. And so there's been periods where I've had to take months or if, you know, many months off the game just to chill and regroup. And I think when you have that bigger picture in mind, you can actually be way more calm, and you can just know that every individual hand is just another like little piece of rice in a huge bowl of rice.
Yeah, there's no finish line.
Yeah, it's all the process, but I love it, you know. And but I mean, all the other things that have helped me along the years have been meditation, exercise, visualization, breathing techniques, eating well, all that stuff. And it sounds like that's what kind of Jason Kuhn is all about as well.
Yeah, and I definitely, if I feel like I'm not focused, I do meditation generally anyway, nearly every day. But if I feel like I'm not focused, or if I'm getting deep in a tournament, like day one, it's like one thing that I think maybe Daniel Negreanu said it, that don't stress on decisions on day one. You've got a 3 or 4 day event, you know, just chill and just. But as you get deeper and the pressure comes up, I definitely do meditation for like, 15 minutes before I'll go and play live. I went through a stage where I was stacking off so many chips early in the piece, in the first few levels, because I just wasn't focused. And I did some work with Jamie Glazier, and he was amazing, and he really got me back on point, and he's probably the first person that got me into meditation in my life. So I did some meditation before the games, and just come out focused and ready to go. But
he was one of the main reasons why I was so interested in becoming my own coach, because he helped me a lot in my early poker years, and I talked a little bit about this with Jackie in our first episode. But what he was able to help guide me with in some of those really high equity situations was so valuable that I've literally dedicated my life to doing that now and providing that for other people. Because yeah, I mean, like you can study the game so much, but to be able to perform it, and this is why I think it is a sport, to be able to perform it for long periods of times, not just in terms of each day being 12-hour days, but like for months and years. Like at some point, people burn out, and the game starts to consume them, and then it ruins their lives. And that's what my goal is here, to try and consistently raise that awareness of people just to put themselves together, put their lives together, come to the game, play the best they can, do the best they can, respect everyone, like you were saying before, respect the game. And if you lose, you go home, you be friendly, you go home and you do something else, right? And then you come back and play again tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. And that's, and like I said before, I struggled with that. I was all about winning, and busting out, I would just be crazy. And I had to really overcome that hurdle to be more zen, be more balanced in my life. It's not all about winning. It's not all about poker. And I say this, I had this discussion with a heap of mates a while ago. I'm like, all right, who's cried over poker? And I'm I guess a little bit emotional. I wear my heart on my sleeve a bit. And, everyone's had some massive spots where, like, my biggest ICM spot was when I lost aces to queens with like 18 left and 500k for first for chip lead. And a similar spot, 45 out at World Series for a bracelet, for a massive chip lead in that Super 1K Turbo. And it's Daniel Nielsen's very good. It's just like, all right, see you later, guys. Next game. He's awesome at that. It's just you've got to lower the care factor about busting, and just stay balanced and realize that there's way more to life than a poker tournament, and it did consume me for a while, especially after the game got tougher and I was losing. But like I said before, I'm lucky that I'm blessed that I've had good people around me and to help guide me, and I feel like I've definitely grown from the experience. So yeah, it's been. So
good. If you could nail it down to, like, say 2 or 3 things that you would have told yourself. Let's say you could go back in time and give yourself some wisdom to your younger self. 2 or 3 things. Like, what would you say? Let's hear it, the first one.
So the first thing I'd say is just have a balanced life. Keep doing the things you love. Like, keep playing sport. Remember, poker's not everything. Yeah, you do it to make money, and there's no end in the road. You can if you bust out, you can play another game tomorrow. If you found that spot, you can find that spot again. Maybe another thing is I'd say to myself is play cash for a living and play tournaments for your dessert.
I like that.
And I don't know what the third thing would be, but yeah, maybe just be nice to people and be the sort of the role model on and off the table that you want to look up to yourself. So, promote the game in a good light. And generally, I feel like I've always been friends with everyone. I feel like I'm a fairly easygoing guy, but I was definitely unbalanced, way unbalanced for a number of years. And I think it's only when 13, 14, when the game got tougher, and then I decided I realized I had to study and look at myself and look at my life and balance things out, and maybe having that year off and working really put things back into perspective about, the whole situation of playing for a living, because it's not easy. So, and in saying that, I feel like I've had to work hard at my game. I don't feel like, in many things in my life, like my sporting career, my rugby league career, I wasn't good. I trained hard, I got good. My running and triathlon career, I wasn't good. I've been training hard and I got good. Whereas a lot of people, I feel like I've got natural ability. But the one thing I have always had is that sixth kind of sense, where you can sense things, you can read the player, and that's something that will never be able to be taught. And I've spoken about this before, and it's, for me, the best players in the world have all got it. whether it be in poker or in life, or if you can really tap into your gut feeling and look at that person and you've got that sense, you've got that thing, that's just an amazing attribute that you'll do well at and using in live poker. So,
yeah, and to touch on that, I've got a counselling and coaching degree, and that's kind of like how I started moving away from poker. And so some of the things I've come across from a psychological perspective is that what you're describing here is that, well, there are certain players who have an organic ability to crush at this game, and you could say that for any sport. You know, Ronaldo's a good example. You could train as hard as Ronaldo, but you probably won't be as good as him. There's something innate in him, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, then to touch on it actually brings together a few points that you've said today. Because if you have played poker for a long time and you haven't quite got the results that you were hoping for, you really need to listen to your gut, and you really need to listen to your support network to get an understanding of what you're actually doing. Because at some point, are you going to play for years, decades, and never get the results you want and then keep playing? Because, if you're trying to pursue it for a living, of course, without doing other things. But what I'm trying to get at here is we need that support network for feedback. We need sufficient feedback on what we're doing, whether it be good, whether it be bad, so that we can, and you really need to pick a handful of people that you really trust and are close with, so that you can actually value their opinion. Otherwise, you're kind of just going in there with like a pipe dream, and you won't actually, you'll be kind of stuck in the matrix, I think. So it sounds like,
totally.
you had that with a few people along the way who, when you were doing things wrong or doing things right, you got adequate feedback to help shape your career.
Yeah. And it's like, you got to look at yourself and say, all right, how long have I been doing this and where have I got to? And, if I haven't got to where I've got to, well then why? And then you've got to counteract all those problems and, or would you rather just go and just play casually, start a business, take all the stress out of it? And yeah, so like my partner Gemma and I, we she runs a fairly big business. She's not the owner of the business, but she's pretty high up. But we constantly are thinking of business ideas, and like we created that vegan ice cream food truck that was really well, and we sold that. And yeah, it's like it's I look at it as a whole different light now as before, and I've taken all the pressure out of it. So now I've got a couple of incomes, and poker's not generally my main source of income. But yeah, you come to a point where you've got to look at yourself and say, have I got to where I've achieved? Or say, okay, I've just started. I'll give myself 5 years. I'm going to put in the study, and in 5 years' time, I want to have, say, a $200,000 bankroll or a $500. And then if you don't get there, well, then maybe you've got to look at other avenues. And that was hard for me to adjust to as well, because you would know, like being a competitive person, a competitive sportsman, you want to win, you want to be number one, and it's a bug and it's a thrill as well. So
yeah,
I
think you and I actually touching on these topics is very important for people to understand who are only really new to the game, especially the younger guys who have only really got into poker in the last couple of years. The game has really gone through that gold mine period where Joe Hasham won the main event, and poker in the world, but in Australia specifically, was huge for like maybe 5 to probably about 8 years. But from about 2013, 2014, it started getting a lot harder with all the solvers and all that sort of stuff. Now, I think that there is still a decent opportunity to make money for a living at this game if you really apply yourself. But you also have to have that wisdom and listen to what we're saying to understand that you really want to balance your life out, because if you don't, danger's coming.
Yeah.
And I'm dead serious about that. Like, if you don't balance your life out, it will mess you up.
Yeah. In many ways, unhealthy and stressed out, and bipolar and anxiety, or whatever you're susceptible to. But yeah, and I do worry about the game, because back in the day, not much study, maybe a coaching session here and there, you could print at mid stakes. Now, if you want to beat mid stakes, so let's just say online, if we have online here, you have to do a fair amount of study. Mid stakes isn't easy, and so now I think that the next coaching phase comes out, whatever it is. So we've had GTO come out, right? Whatever the next phase is that's going to come out or is coming out now over the next 3 or 4 years, I just feel like it's going to be really tough online because the average player has just moved up to GTO. So
Yeah.
live poker, I think, will always be amazing, and big fields it will always be amazing. But yeah, the game is definitely it's getting tougher, and also counteracting like RTA, real time assistance. I've seen heaps of videos now, and it's good that a lot of the online sites are trying to counteract with really good security. But it's just so easy for someone to have like a laptop set up with a solver and running spots, and that side of it really sort of it worries me, and it makes me glad that I know that I'm just going to be a sort of a semi sort of recreational player. But I'm looking forward to going back to World Series, and it's the second year we haven't been able to go.
I know, it's been pretty tough.
I just wanted to say that I'm actually heartbroken
that
I haven't been able to go this year or last year.
Yeah. I mean, I was chatting with Will about this as well. I mean, we're talking about all the favorite things we love to do in Vegas, and man, there's so many cool things that I would just do. I would probably go there just for a holiday now. I might play one tournament and just have a holiday.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. And
what are some of your favorite things to do there?
So I enjoy the shows and stuff, like the magic shows, and I don't know. It's just the vibe of the place. I'm not a big partier, or I've never been a big partier or a big drinker. I don't know. It's just a different casinos, a different chips. Every time I go over there, I buy heaps of different chips. So I've got like heaps of sets of different $5.
Oh man,
I've got heaps of them from all different casinos. But yeah, I just enjoy. If you bust a tournament, you can go to another casino, play another one, or you can have the day off and, maybe go and see a show, or, just walk the strip at night. The people watching there is next level.
It really is a playground, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just something that I look forward to every year. And so, I'm hoping that next year my partner Gemma can come over there. She's travelled the world a lot. She worked with Olivia Newton-John, and but she's never been to Vegas, so I said next year, let's go, and we can have a good time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice, man. That's awesome. And so what do you have planned for the rest of this year and early next year? Are you going to play a bunch of the Australian tournaments?
Yeah, so there's a summer series coming up here at the Gold Coast Casino from the 26th to the 6th. Unfortunately, Sydney and Melbourne can't get here by a week. So, which isn't too bad for me because it keeps a lot of you really good players out.
Yeah, I've been watching all the tournaments play out, and I'm just like, you guys are looking pretty good out there, but you're not really playing against Australia. It's like it should be called the Queensland, the Queensland hub.
Yeah, and I've actually been downswinging live since about 19, and I'm kind of expecting it. It's sort of kind of ending. I had a result a few weeks ago. There's a little tournament that gets up here in Brisbane. It gets like 100 runners every week and like 10K for first. And then they take a percentage out of the prize pool every week. And if you run deep, you get chips for your end of season stack. And then they have a free roll, a huge free roll, like 150K. And you have to play a certain amount against qualifiers. So they've got their final starting tomorrow night, which runs 3 weeks in a row on a Tuesday night. So that's pretty cool, fun little tournament. Mm-hmm. So I've got that. We've got the summer series. And then there's not much else for the rest of the year, but the beginning of next year, there's heaps. There's APL have got a series on here at Southport. APT have got a series on here at Southport and then one in Brisbane. And then the WPT League have got one here in February. So in the first 3 months, I think there's could be about 5 major tournament series. The casino have booked in already 4 big tournament series for next year. So I know that would be 2 WPTs, proper WPTs. The second one will be main tour, I'm guessing, because that's what they were going to do this year till it got cancelled. So main tour is good because the minimum of buy-in for the main event has to be, I think, $4 US. So it'll be a big series.
Oh.
And then they'll have the Gold Coast Champs and a couple of other things. But yeah, since lockdown, the Queensland poker, the live scene has boomed. The prize pools have just been unbelievable.
I've been so impressed by APL, APT, WPT. Like they've all just really stepped up their game to really
and it's good. APL have come on the scene and they've got Joel running the show.
Yeah.
So now they've got a proper tour, and I've been working with him and asking players what can we do, what can they do better, I should say, and then it's giving him feedback.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Joel Williams he was a tournament director down at Crown in Melbourne for what 6-7 years, I think. Yeah. He took over for.
He's good at his job.
He took over for was it Christian and Jono?
Yes, that's right, John.
Yeah. And so Joel's an incredible guy, and he's a fantastic tournament director. And so when I heard that he was with APL, I should say that right. I knew that they were going to step up their game. So that's fantastic to hear, man.
Yeah. So that's good. They've started that. So we've got those 3 tours now on top of casino tours. And you know what? This morning, I was thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if we got online poker back, the ANZ PT tour? This younger generation haven't seen what we had. We were very lucky, and I hope that comes back one day. But like, how good was it? You know, a main event nearly every 6 weeks, like going to Queenstown snow skiing and playing a main event and qualifying online, and just the whole sort of the vibe and the culture was just amazing, and all the OGs loved it.
Yeah. I do remember those days, man. They were good. You know, there was just such a buzz about the game. I mean, I think even that was when Joe Hasham had his poker show. I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
The Poker Star, was it called?
The Poker Star,
Something like that, yeah.
Amanda won it.
Yeah, Amanda, yeah, she's amazing. And so, yeah, like back in those days, there was so much going on. This is what we're talking about, where it really was a boom. And a lot of that's died off due to lockdowns, legislation, and laws and all that crap. So all we can do is be grateful for what we do have at the moment, and give thanks and serious positive feedback to those guys who are providing these APL, APT, WPT tournaments and all the rest. Because guys, if you are being rude to dealers and rude to staff members, well, you should probably want to think again, because these guys are providing us a service that you wouldn't have poker to play at all if it wasn't for them. So, yeah, I'm really big on that. Right. I'm really big, and that comes back to what we were talking about before, Ricky, where it was just like, you know, treat people well, and that includes yourself, that includes players, that includes dealers, staff members. But yeah, no, I think we're in a stage where we've hit the lowest, and we've come out of that, and then now there's going to be it's just going to keep growing from here. So there's a new interest for poker.
And I think it's an exciting time now, because I think we went through a lull, maybe say 5 years ago, where we didn't have a heap of really good players on the world stage, and now we've got, you know, you've got Kale, we've got Adamo, we've got, you know, Sean, we've got, Vincent Hung. We've got so many really good high-stakes players putting us on the map where we didn't have, and that's great for poker in Australia, because these guys are, you know, crushing the high stakes. And I'm sure there's names that I haven't mentioned or whatever, but I think it's good for the game. And like now the average player can log on and see, Adamo just constantly on PokerGo, or whereas like 5 or 6 years ago, we really didn't have that. So we had people crushing online, but no one knew who they were. I think we're in an exciting phase of the game where we've got these younger players coming through, and Linsky's done really well, and he was pretty unlucky, completely card dead on the World Series final table, but it was great to see an Aussie and great to see him on there.
Yeah.
Hopefully Sean can go on with the job, and I haven't looked at the last 60, and I didn't know that he was down to the last 60, but I'd be pretty confident in that field to say he would be in the top, say, 10 players left.
There's a few tough players left. There's Stephen Chidwick, Chance Corneth.
Yeah.
The chip leader right now is the German guy, Aldemir or something. I've played.
Oh, wow. He's on a run. Yeah. He's already won 2 bracelets this series.
Has he? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
he's going for player of the series.
Yeah, nice. Look, man, we'll leave it at that for today. But like, it's been seriously awesome having you on here. I think that your journey is quite interesting, and to try and get it all into 145-minute or 1 hour chat is pretty tough. But I'm glad to see you doing well, and that you've you were able to overcome some of those really tough periods of your life through poker, and you're able to share some wisdom now to some of the other younger guys. So it's been awesome having you on, man. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been great. It's been great to chat with you and see you, and I look forward to when the borders open up and we can catch up at a live series and see all the IGs. But yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. It hasn't been an easy ride at times, but we're still here, and hopefully we've all come out stronger people and better people. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. Good luck.
Thanks.